The envelope landed on the kitchen table with a dull, final thud, quiet but heavy. It sounded like a door closing on something that could never be reopened. My hands shook as I ripped it open, the private investigator's seal already breaking beneath my trembling fingers. Inside were photographs, grainy, cruel, and all too clear. They'd been taken from a distance, a hotel parking lot bathed in weak yellow light. The first image stopped my breath. Sarah, my wife, laughing as she fell into the arms of a man I knew from our wedding guest list. My stomach twisted violently. The coffee I'd swallowed earlier surged up my throat. I clenched my fist against my mouth, forcing the bitter burn back down, and stared at the next photo. There she was again, Sarah, my partner of 9 years, head thrown back in laughter, hand resting on the collar of Mark. Mark. The same Mark who toasted our marriage, the one who had promised to look after her when I traveled for work. The betrayal didn't slice. It tore. A jagged, brutal rip through every memory we'd ever built. 3 weeks earlier, I'd hired the PI. It started with late-night texts, girls' trips that appeared from nowhere, and that perfume, her perfume, mixed with the faint scent of someone else's cologne. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself trust was sacred, that marriage needed faith to survive. But suspicion is a slow rot, and by the time I called the investigator, something inside me was already gone. His name was Harlan, a retired cop with a gravel voice and a promise. Just facts. No opinions. I handed him cash, Sarah's schedule, and waited. Every night I stared at the ceiling, rehearsing how I'd confront her. I imagined her tears, her apology, the two of us rebuilding what was broken. I never once imagined her friends being part of it. The report was exhaustive: dates, times, license plates, hotel rooms. But on page 7, my heart froze. It wasn't just Sarah and Mark. 2 more names appeared: Leah and Vanessa. Both had been spotted with them multiple times at the same downtown bar. Leah, her maid of honor, the one who sobbed hardest during our vow renewal. And Vanessa, the yoga instructor who ran those self-care retreats, the one who texted heart emojis to Sarah in the middle of the night. One picture showed them all clinking glasses, whispering across the table, glancing toward the door as though they feared being watched. Harlan's notes were clinical. Subjects appeared to coordinate arrivals and departures. Possible lookout activity. My chest constricted until I could barely draw air. It wasn't just infidelity, it was collusion. I drove to work without thinking, the city streaking past in a blur of gray. When coworkers asked if I was okay, I muttered something about food poisoning and locked myself in the supply closet. I scrolled through old group chats. There they were. Leah, posting from the bar, tagging Sarah. Sisters before misters. Vanessa, sending memes about needing a break from routine. Every joke, every laugh, every photo, it all looked like evidence now. I wanted to scream, to hurl my phone into the wall. But the supply closet reeked of bleach, and the buzzing fluorescent light overhead sounded like a trapped fly. I pressed my forehead against the cold metal shelving and let the tears come, silent, useless, burning. That night, I sat waiting in the dark living room. The PI's folder lay buried beneath unopened mail. When Sarah came home, she was humming, kicking off her heels, the scent of vanilla, and something sharper trailing behind. "Hey, babe," she said, flicking on the lamp. The light caught her face, the smudged mascara, the slight flush in her cheeks. "You're up late." My throat felt tight, words thick with betrayal. Finally, I forced one out. "Sit down, Sarah." Her smile faltered. "What's wrong? You look awful." I slid the folder across the coffee table. The photos spilled out like cards in a losing hand. She stared, color draining from her face, then looked up at me with eyes begging for mercy. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered. "Then what is it?" My voice cracked. "Because right now, it looks like you've been sleeping with Mark, and your friends Leah and Vanessa have been helping you lie about it." She dropped onto the couch, hands twisting together. "I was going to tell you," she stammered. "It just happened. Mark understands me in ways." Stop. The word exploded from me. Don't you dare say he understands you better. 9 years, Sarah. 9 years of bills, miscarriages, sleepless fights about trash duty. I held you when your father died. I learned to make your stupid oat milk lattes with perfect foam. And you threw it away for him? For a guy who wears boat shoes without socks. Tears streamed down her face, real or not. I couldn't tell. I was lonely, she said. You're always gone, always distant. Mark listened. Lonely. I laughed, a hollow, cracking sound. I was lonely too, but I didn't go find someone else to fix it. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. Please, Alex. We can fix this therapy, time apart, something. I stood, my legs shaking. There's nothing left to fix. Not when your friends knew. Not when they smiled at me last Sunday over brunch and asked about my big project while you were in a hotel room with him. I grabbed my keys. I'm staying at the Marriott. Tomorrow, I'll call a lawyer. Alex, wait. I paused at the door, hand on the knob. You know what hurts most? It's not even Mark. It's Leah and Vanessa. I trusted them too. I let them into our home, our lives, and they chose you. They chose your lies. The door slammed behind me. Outside, November air bit sharp and clean. I walked toward the car, each step heavier, the weight of 9 years collapsing into dust. In the rearview mirror, I caught her silhouette, arms wrapped around herself, but I didn't stop. Harlan's final note echoed in my head. Subject's associates exhibit high loyalty. Recommend immediate confrontation to prevent further coordination. I had confronted her, all right. But as the city lights stretched into streaks of gold and red, I realized the real betrayal wasn't just hers. It was the breaking of every illusion I'd ever had about love, loyalty, and the fragile threads that hold a life together. The next morning, I met Harlan at a diner that smelled of burnt coffee and old regrets. He slid a small USB across the table. Audio, he said. From the bar's cameras. You sure you want to hear it? I turned the drive over in my fingers. Part of me wanted to destroy it, to pretend last night had never happened. But another part, the one that had been living behind walls of denial for years, needed the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I plugged it into my laptop.
Headphones on.
Sarah's voice, faint but unmistakable. He'll never find out. Leah's got the perfect cover. Laughter. Glasses clinking. Vanessa, just don't get sloppy. Alex isn't stupid. Mark, relax. She's mine now. I ripped the headphones off, nausea flooding my chest. Harlan watched quietly. He'd seen plenty of marriages die under neon diner lights. What now? He asked. I shut the laptop. Now I disappear, I said. New city. New name. Let them keep their secrets. I dropped a 20 on the table and stepped out into the pale morning. The pain was still there, alive, coiled beneath my ribs, but something else stirred beneath it. Relief, maybe. Or the fragile beginning of freedom. Betrayal had destroyed me, yes, but it had also released me. And for the first time in years, I inhaled air that didn't taste like lies.